What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Warzone 2 video for you today. Today on the channel, we're going to be taking a look at the M4, comparing it to some of the other low recoil options in Warzone 2, and letting you know what you can expect when you're using this compared to the other builds. And then we're going to take a look at the loadout, how to build this thing, kit it out properly, and then go into the tuning to give you even more value on that loadout itself. I've had an insane amount of fun using this M4 build on Ashika Island and on Al Mazrah the past couple of days, and I think you will too, because the M4 is such an iconic loadout in Call of Duty. So with that being said, I think you guys will like this build and have a ton of fun with it. So be sure to stick around for the loadout itself. And if you like this sort of loadout content, please consider subscribing to the channel. It really does help out more than you know. Drop a like for me and comment down below your favorite part about Warzone Season 2, Ashika Island, Al Mazrah, whatever it may be. Personally, I'm a big fan of being able to sprint while plating. I find that very fun. So without any further ado, let's jump over to True Game Data so we can take a look at the M4 compared to some of the other similar loadouts. All right, so we're over here on True Game Data, and we've got a graph here showing the Kazdov 545, the Lachmann 556, the M4, and the M13B. All four of these loadouts are very low recoil options, and they're all pretty solid and contenders in the meta. Now, obviously, there are a lot of better options. However, these are the best low recoil options, at least in the AR class. LMGs are a completely different story for another video, so subscribe if you want that. So we've got the M4 here in the blue, the M13 in the green, the Lachmann 556 in this orange color, and then over on the left is the Kazdov 545 in the red color. As you can tell, they're all pretty similar time to kills, with the M4 beating out all of the rest at a 631 TTK, milliseconds that is. However, the first damage drop off for the M4 is around 37 meters, which kind of sucks compared to the Lachmann 556 or the M13B. However, at their first damage drop offs, they have a significantly higher time to kill. And then of course, all the way on the left, we have the Kazdov 545 with a pretty depressing time to kill, first damage drop off, and everything else. However, it does have very little recoil, so I figured I'd add it here. But don't use this gun. All right, so now that you guys know where this gun compares to the others in its class, let's go over some of the loadout options that I think are the best to use for this build. And then, like I said, we're gonna jump into the tuning at the end of the video, so be sure to stick around for that. All right, so here we have the M4, and man, this thing is ugly. 1 second, I'm gonna put a skin on so I don't have to look at this thing. So here we have the M4, and the first thing we're gonna do is go over to the magazine and toss on the 60-round mag. No matter what, I mean, you can kind of get away with a 50-round mag if you're playing solos or duos. I guess you do get a little bit more movement speed from that, but the 60 round is honestly not too much of a difference. So I kind of recommend just going with the 60 round altogether. Next up for the underbarrel, we go with the F-Tac Ripper. Once again, this is like just your go-to option on the underbarrel attachment slot. It kind of does the same thing that the Commando foregrip did in Warzone 1, and that's why it's so freaking good and essential. For your muzzle, you go with the Harbinger D20, and this one actually helps out significantly with recoil smoothness, which is that randomness that they added into this game. Every loadout in the game has a randomness to the recoil pattern. It's not just straight up and to the right or straight up and to the left anymore. Sometimes it'll be straight up to the left, sometimes it'll be straight up to the left with a little bit of the middle in there too. So recoil smoothness helps bring that back in line and brings that spread together. For your optic, you go with the AIM OP4. This is definitely the best optic to use for visual recoil, and that's one of the things that will really burn you when trying to use this loadout. And lastly, for the barrel, you go with the Hightower 20-inch barrel. It makes this thing a beast, a monster, and everything you could ask for in a low recoil option. And that's the loadout that you're going to use. Now let's jump into the tuning. We're going to start with the F-Tac Ripper, but one of these is super important to tune properly, so make sure to stick around and watch that. So for the F-Tac Ripper, on the left-hand slider, recoil stabilization, you go up to plus 0.39, and on the bottom, you go over to the right to plus 0.3 on aim idle stability. The recoil stabilization is going to help with the inherent accuracy of the loadout itself, and the aiming idle stability is going to help with the gun sway when you're aimed down sights. So it's going to make some of those further shots easier to hit. Next up for the Harbinger D20, we're going to go plus 0.89 on recoil smoothness and plus 0.63 on bullet velocity. Like I said earlier, the recoil smoothness aspect of this is going to cut down on the randomness that is in the recoil pattern, and the bullet velocity is going to help you actually hit your shots and make your shots go where you're aiming. For the AIM OP4, the optic, I always recommend just going all the way to the right and all the way down on both of these sliders. For the far tuning, the further out your sight is, the smaller it'll be, which means that it's going to have the least amount of visual recoil. All right, and lastly is going to be the barrel, and this is the one that is super important. You're going to go with the plus 0.27 on recoil steadiness, and then we're going to go over to plus 0.26 on damage range. Now couple the damage range with the bullet velocity tuning that we had from the muzzle, and you have yourself an absolute beam. But with that being said, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please consider subscribing if you do like this kind of content, and drop a like for me on the video. It would really help out. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next one.